Okay, let's get right into Blade Runner. Now, this is so much more than just a cool sci-fi story set in a futuristic city. This is one of those masterpieces that really makes you stop and question everything. What it means to be human, what our lives are worth, and what our memories truly are. I mean, really think about that for a second. What if just being you was a crime? This isn't just some random thought experiment. It is the cold, hard reality for the characters at the very heart of this story. And it's the one question that really fuels every single thing we're about to unpack. So our story kicks off in Los Angeles, 2019. But forget the LA you know. This one is dark, it's always raining, and it's covered in these massive skyscrapers. And it's here we meet Rick Deckard, a former cop who's being dragged back into a job he desperately wanted to leave behind. Now, to get what he does, you really only need to know two things. First up, you've got replicants. And listen, these are not robots. We're talking bioengineered beings. Flesh and blood, just like us, but designed to be, well, better, stronger, more resilient. And just by looking at one, you'd have no idea they weren't human, absolutely no idea. And that's exactly where a guy like Rick Deckard comes in. He's a Blade Runner. His entire job is to hunt down replicants who've gone rogue and made their way back to Earth where they're not allowed. But he doesn't arrest them, he retires them. It's a nice clean word for a very, very dirty job, and he's being forced to do it one last time. So what's the mission? Deckard has to track down 4 of the most advanced replicants ever made. We're talking the Nexus 6 models. These 4 hijacked a ship, killed everyone on board, and have come back to Earth. And nobody knows why. And look, these are not just some anonymous targets on a list. They each have a role. You've got Roy Batty, the leader. He's brilliant and absolutely ruthless. Then there's Zora, a deadly assassin hiding in plain sight. Pris, who's called a basic pleasure model but is shockingly fast and agile. And finally, Leon, a combat model built for one thing, raw strength. Deckard's job? Find them all and retire them all. So, here's the big question. How do you hunt something that looks, talks, and acts exactly like you? You can't just trust your eyes. You need a special kind of tool, one that's designed to find the one thing that supposedly separates us from them. And this is it, the Voight-Kampff test. Now, it's not a lie detector. It's more like an empathy detector. The machine zooms in on the eye and tracks all these tiny, involuntary physical reactions, like your pupils dilating, when you're asked emotionally loaded questions. The whole idea is that a replicant won't feel a thing, but a human can't help but react. See, the whole test is built on this one core idea. If you tell a human a story about, say, an animal getting hurt, they're going to have a gut reaction, that flicker of empathy. A replicant, on the other hand, is just supposed to process it like data, a logical problem with no real emotional hook. At least, that's how it's supposed to work. But right away, things get complicated. Deckard goes to the Tyrell Corporation, the place that literally makes the replicants, and he tests this woman named Rachel, and it takes him, get this, over 100 questions to figure it out. She's a replicant. But here's the kicker. She has no idea. She's been given a whole lifetime of fake memories, a childhood, a family, all to make her believe she's human. It's a total paradox that just blows the doors off the whole human versus replicant idea. Now, while Deckard is out there playing detective, his targets are on a mission of their own. And they're not just hiding out. Oh no, they're on a desperate, desperate search. You could almost call it a rebellion against the very way they were made. They're trying to meet their maker, literally. They want to find Eldon Tyrell, the genius who designed them. And why? Well, because every Nexus 6 model has a built-in kill switch, a 4-year lifespan. That's it. Their clock is ticking, and they're convinced Tyrell is the only person who can give them the one thing we all take for granted, more life. So how do they get to him? They find this guy, J.F. Sebastian. He's a lonely but brilliant genetic designer who happens to work with Tyrell. They totally manipulate him, playing on his sympathy. And the tragic irony here? Sebastian himself has a genetic disorder that makes him age way too fast, giving him a super short life, just like them. And this right here is where everything collides. The hunter's mission and the hunted's desperate quest smash into each other. And as Deckard gets closer, the lines between who's good, who's bad, heck, who's even human, they just start to completely melt away. And the collision is just brutal. Deckard finds Zora and shoots her in the back while she's running for her life. A little later, Leon gets the drop on Deckard and nearly kills him. But Rachel, the replicant who thinks she's human, saves him.
Meanwhile, Roy finally gets his meeting with Tyrell, his creator, only to be told, "Sorry, there's nothing I can do." And in this fit of pure rage and heartbreak, Roy kills him.
So, all the targets are gone now, except one, Roy Batty. And this brings us to the final, unforgettable showdown, a scene that takes this movie from a cool sci-fi thriller and turns it into something truly profound about what it means to live and die.
Deckard manages to track Roy to Sebastian's apartment building, but he is completely outmatched. He's wounded, he's exhausted, and he's chased up onto a slick, rain-soaked rooftop. But Roy is breaking down too. His 4 years are up, his body is failing, but his spirit is still burning incredibly bright.
Deckard makes a last-ditch effort to jump to another roof, but he doesn't make it. He's just hanging there, by his fingertips, high above the city streets. He's done for. The hunter is completely helpless, and his life is now in the hands of the very creature he was sent to kill.
Roy, of course, makes the jump with no problem at all. He walks over and stands above the struggling Deckard. And just as Deckard's fingers finally slip, Roy reaches down, grabs his arm, and yanks him up to safety. The monster, in his last few moments of life, chooses to save his enemy. He shows the one thing he was never supposed to have: empathy.
And then, sitting there in the pouring rain as his own life is fading, Roy gives one of the most incredible speeches in film history. He doesn't talk about anger or revenge. He talks about wonder, about all the incredible things he's seen, all his memories. He proves right then and there that he was never just a machine. He was a living being, full of experiences. And with his final act, he teaches Deckard what it truly means to be alive.
And just like that, Roy Batty dies. Deckard's job is over. He heads back to his apartment, but this story is not done. Not yet. There is one last tiny detail, a final little twist that changes absolutely everything.
He goes to get Rachel, planning for them to run away together. But just as they're about to leave, he looks down and sees it, a tiny silver origami unicorn on the floor. It was left by his partner, Gaff. And this is a terrifying message because it means Gaff knows about a recurring dream Deckard has, a private dream about a unicorn. And that leaves us with the film's final chilling question. If someone else knows your most secret dreams, are they really your dreams? Could the Blade Runner himself be a replicant, just like the very things he's been hunting? The movie doesn't give us an easy answer. It just leaves us hanging there, forced to wonder, if you can't even tell if your memories are real or fake, does the difference even matter?